All right. My name's Charlotte Fargo, and it's a beautiful sunny day, May 17th, about 10:45 in the morning, and I'm here interviewing Jim Burrus, a farmer from Jacksonville, for the Illinois World History Agriculture Project. And Jim, we're just so glad to be talking to you. Can you tell me a little bit about where you were born, where you were raised, how you got to be in Jacksonville?
Well, I was born right here in this house, or not in this house, but in Jacksonville at Pasture Hospital in 1950. And my grandfather bought this place in 1946, and so I've been here all my life, with the exception of about 10 years. I worked at Kroger's and went to Lincoln Land Community College.
So this is really the family farmstead, but you've made a lot of changes in this.
Yeah, we have. 2 years ago, we remodeled the house and built onto it.
So the bedroom that you grew up in isn't necessarily the bedroom that you're in now, but it's a beautiful, what you've done is really beautiful to preserve that farmstead and that heritage. And I'm sure, tell us a little bit about your operation.
Okay, we raise grass-fed beef, grass-finished beef. We're 100% grass-fed, and we're certified organic, and we raise pastured poultry. And our crops are conventional. We have corn and beans, and then also we raise alfalfa.
You know, your dad or your grandpa, when they started, they didn't even know the term grass-fed. Help me out with that. What made you turn that way, turn that direction? What made you think about, I need to go from conventional to grass-fed?
Well, actually, our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers did, because that's the only thing cattle ate then.
There you go.
It was actually after World War II that they started feeding grain to cattle. And so it's really, it's new in a sense, maybe to our generation, but not in the past.
So, and a lot of people would say, well, what's wrong with feeding a steer grain?
Well, what's wrong with it? You know, you can kill cattle with grain.
By giving them too much?
By giving them too much. They have 5 stomachs. They were built to consume grass and produce meat out of forage. And that's what we went back to doing. And
you had to kind of make some major changes in your operation in order to do that, didn't you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we first started with a management intensive grazing system on our pasture in 1995, and we sold our calves off the cows in November or December, and now we keep our calves through yearlings and through 2 years of age.
So you keep them a lot longer than the traditional or the conventional way of doing it.
Yeah, so actually we have 3 herds. We have a cow-calf herd, and we have the yearling herd, and we have the finishing herd.
How many cattle do you have in those 3 herds? How many cattle do you have on your property at any one time?
Well, at any one time, like 150.
Wow, so you have a lot of animals to take care of. And then how about your chickens? How many of those do you have?
Well, we raise 200 in a batch. And
do you have 200 chickens now in May?
We have 200 now.
Yeah, and how do you market your meat then from the chickens or the steers?
Well, a lot of it has been through our beef customers. We started out with our grass-finished beef, and they asked if we had chickens. We also advertised some on the internet.
And that's something your grandpa would never have done, is advertise it. And do you get a lot of people, so then you pack it in dry ice and ship it out to them, or do they come to the farm, or how does that work?
We do both. We ship, we pack it in dry ice and we ship. And most of it is picked up at the processor. And some people do come to the farm and buy meat here.
There's kind of a whole trend that people love to know where that meat came from and who raised it. And so do you get a lot of questions from people about how this whole thing is done? You know, interested before they want to put that in their mouths to know where it came from?
Yeah, they are interested, and there's a thing now that they call the 100-mile diet, so they're trying to eat all their food within a 100-mile radius.
Really?
So they are interested in where it comes from, and how and what it eats. And
Tell me, in making this change, which it is a huge, I'm sure it's been a huge change, a change in your mindset and the whole thing, because you don't raise your animals, you don't farm the way your dad necessarily farmed, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so this is a change in mindset, and I don't care, at our age, Jim, change is hard, right? So how did you get over that hump to say, yeah, I'm really going to do this and I'm going to think about it differently?
How I got over the hump, I guess, was, we had this rough ground, and it was pasture ground, and Dad said, as long as he was around, it's going to stay that way. There was a lot of hills that was being farmed and pasture turned into grain, but so I had to figure out a way to make it more profitable, and so through management, intensive grazing, and also through retailing our product, we were able to make that profitable.
Did you read some books on it, or was there some other farmers that helped you?
Actually, I met a person named Jim Garish in Illinois one day, and then he moved he worked for the Department of Agriculture in Missouri, or actually it was the University of Missouri, and he was kind of the person that got me interested in.
You heard him speak?
I heard him speak. It was east of Peoria, and he said, if you want to learn more, why come to our grazing school in Linneus, Missouri. So I signed up for the grazing school in Linneus, Missouri, and then I followed him and his group called the Green Hills Farm Project, and we went to their farms and we learned from other farmers how they were doing things.
How old were you at the time?
See, I was 45.
So this is kind of, some guys have their midlife crisis and they buy a Corvette. You kind of changed had your midlife crisis and said, I got to do something different to make this work, right?
Yeah.
That was a good thing.
And it was a challenge also, that was a big thing to do something with those hills different than what most people were doing.
Was there a lot of red tape I know what you sell is organic? Right? So was there a lot of red tape? Tell me about that whole process where you can get certified as organic.
Well, there's a 3-year transition period. You can't apply any chemicals to your land. And we didn't have a problem with that because our pasture had never had commercial fertilizer on it. It was, my dad thought it was kind of like waste ground, really. It was just put the cows out there and forget about them. And so they really didn't spend money on fertilizer for the pastures, and we didn't spray them. Anything we did was mechanical, as far as cutting brush or trees and fixing fence. So that 3-year transition was pretty easy. Now we are transitioning another farm to the north of us, and it's going through a 3-year transition period. We've used oats to transition, and then alfalfa, and we're at the end of our 3-year transition period this year.
That's neat. So, and the cattle get to eat the oats and the alfalfa?
Yes.
And the chickens, what do they eat?
Well, I purchased, they eat corn and soybeans.
But it's organic corn?
It's organic, and I purchased that from a farmer in Carlock, Illinois.
Okay. So you guys kind of all have a network going, I assume, all the guys that believe in organic. And, the bottom line is, does it taste better?
It tastes, I think grass-fed beef, organic beef, tastes more like beef should taste. It doesn't have an off flavor. It tastes like meat.
Tender.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Do you think it's been healthier? Have you, since you've been doing this several years, and I know you and your wife Mary eat this. Do you feel better about that? It's better for you nutritionally or whatever?
I think the nutritional benefits are a positive influence on us. They say you are what you eat, and we really feel that way. We get the nutrients out of the grass, and that's what cattle are supposed to eat. And so
Do you think, do you think the cattle ever long for corn, or do you think they're pretty happy on grass?
Cattle like corn because it's sweet.
Okay.
You know, it's like candy. So they like it. Cattle will eat anything really. You know, they'll eat anything, but they're ruminants, and you don't have to worry about cattle. They can eat as much grass as they want and do fine.
Is there a particular breed of cattle that you use that does better on the grass-fed, or not?
There are breeds that they say do better on grass. We use Angus, and there are certain genetics in the Angus breed that they say do better on grass, and we try to use those genetics.
Can it still be the certified Angus beef? You know, that's a real big deal. To be able to say so it could still, even if it was grass-fed, could still say certified Angus beef?
It could, yes.
Yeah.
It could.
Is it more expensive to buy it, and can you buy it at any supermarkets, or do you just have to buy it, you know, at specialty places or directly from a farm?
Certified organic beef, grass-fed beef is the market is really not built up yet to whether you can buy it in all stores. There are places you know, like Minneapolis and Wisconsin and your bigger retail markets that you can buy it in stores. But mainly it's purchased privately.
So thank God for the internet that you can just Google and say, I want grass-fed beef, and all these people that sell it come up, including you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Tell me about some of the challenges that you've had in doing this. You know, farmers are an interesting group in that they often, they always watch what their neighbor's doing. Have your neighbors thought you were crazy?
Oh, I think so. I think so. When we started, we put in 10,000 feet of water line in our pastures, and when we started doing that, I think people were asking questions, what's he doing out there, you know?
Yeah.
And I think so. You know, but I got over that hump. It doesn't bother me anymore.
Sure. Well, and they can see that you're obviously a success, so that speaks for itself, I'm sure. Do you still go to these seminars to help you learn about this? I mean, there's any areas that have been particularly hard for you to say, man, I can't quite figure that out?
Yeah, I do. We go, you know, we're self-taught. We have to go to seminars and conventions, and last year we went to the organic convention in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and also a new one starting up at the Midwest Organic Convention in Champaign, Illinois last year. Next year it's going to be in Indiana. And then I go to the grazing conference in Wisconsin every year. And you meet people, and that's where you learn from.
I bet you met a lot of good friends.
I have.
I mean, because it really becomes almost a little, I won't say society, but a friendship, that people who believe in the same thing and do the same thing. Yeah. You mentioned that you keep your cattle longer. Are they bigger than other cattle that go to market sooner?
No, they're about the same size. I try to have a 700-pound carcass weight. I feel economically that's what I need to do well selling retail product, and so they're about the same size, 700 to 750 pound carcass.
You know, you've been in this since what, 95?
95.
Okay, so 13 years.
Right.
If you had to look in your crystal ball, where do you see this going? I'm sure it's much more accepted now than it was 13 years ago when you started. Do you see in the next 13 years that it's really going to catch on, and this is going to be the kind of beef that most of us eat in America?
It's growing rapidly. It's actually growing faster than we can grow the beef. The grass base isn't there. You know, you have to have more grass.
Right, that's because we've taken our grass out of production.
That's right.
And raised corn because corn prices are high, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we've had to, you know, we've converted cropland into grass and you need more grass, and we've just lost that grass base. So it's going to take a while to get enough beef cattle out there to be available in a lot of stores.
Sure. You know, one of the reasons you said you did this is because you wanted to turn that pasture into something that was more profitable. Has it worked? You know, in 13 years, can you look back and say, man, that was definitely the right thing to do?
Yes, yes. It's, you know, we grow better grass, and by the rotation, and we manage that pasture now. We don't.
And is there a grass rotation that you do, like grass to oats to, I don't know?
No, we pretty much stay with perennial grasses.
Okay. Have you made money with this?
Yeah, we've done pretty well with this, really.
Good. So it's something you'd recommend to somebody else trying or whatever?
Yes, I've helped a lot of people start
Yeah.
in grass-fed beef.
That's good. Looking at a bigger picture, do you think this is a better way for agriculture to sustain itself?
It can be sustainable. That takes, you know, we're in the process now of trying to be sustainable. We do buy organic hay off the farm, and we are presently trying to raise all of our feed. And
What I mean though is agriculture for the last 50 years, if you will, you know, we're sort of dependent on the government in case prices go down. There's always been a floor there to sort of prop farmers up to help them, because agriculture is so important to our nation. And it's kind of at a point now where a lot of times we're in the midst of trying to get a farm bill passed, and there's concern that, oh, there's too much money that costs. And is this a way to finally get off that roller coaster?
oh, it is. It is. Very much so, you know, and that's what I'd love to do. I'd like to, you know, they say farming is a business, and not many businesses are really dependent on the government like agriculture is.
And even farmers wish it wasn't that way.
That's true. They would like to have good prices for their crops and whatever they sell. And with grass-fed beef and selling at retail, that's possible.
Well, it is, because instead of the market saying this is what you're going to get, the Chicago Board of Trade or whatever for that corn, you are able to set the price for your meat.
That's right.
Which is the way it should be. Everybody else does that, don't they?
That's
You
right.
know?
Everybody
Yeah.
else does that in the business.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have any thoughts about how in the next few years you hope to change or expand or make this better?
Well, actually, just, you know, I'm trying to become more sustainable, to raise everything on the farm, that so we don't have to go off farm to buy hay, and I think that would make it better.
And so would you turn some of your cropland into raising more
Grassland.
alfalfa?
Yeah, and we have been doing. We've been putting more cropland into grassland.
Do you have children?
I have one daughter.
And is she into all this?
She's actually she buys and sells natural gas, and she likes the farm, but and she likes the meat.
And so you supply her with meat, I'm sure,
Yes.
Dad.
Yeah. but she doesn't work on the farm.
And you know, that's one of the other things you hope to see in agriculture, is that the kids don't always leave, that there's a place for them. And I know this at least, I don't know if she's married or not, but if she has kids, maybe someday they'll be able to go. I'm sure that would be a dream of yours for them to take it on.
She does have grandkids, and Heather would actually she would probably be a better business person than I am. Pretty sharp, and she could make this run.
So that's kind of the long range goal, is for
Yeah, I'd like to see someone come back
and take the remodeled house and yeah. It's good. Well, I think what you're doing is great, and I know it always takes courage to do something different, especially in the agriculture world, because everybody seems to watch everybody else and do it just the way they do. Do you feel like when you go to bed at night, what gives you that courage?
To keep going on this, I think it's you're determined to do something different and make an impact on other people, and I've seen that happen. And
what's most rewarding about it?
I think teaching other people.
Yeah. When somebody comes to your farm and gets the meat and tells you they love it,
Yeah,
that has to be rewarding.
it is. It is.
Do you sell it mainly by people buy half a steer, or they buy a quarter steer, or do they just buy steaks or roasts or whatever?
We sell mainly quarters and halves, and sometimes wholes.
Okay.
And then we do sell packaged meat out of the freezer.
And if somebody wanted to look on the internet to find out more about you or where to buy it or whatever, what's your website?
We advertise on 2 websites. One is eatwild.com.
Eat Wild.
Eatwild.com.
Okay. EATWILD.com. Okay.
Yes. And the other one is Local Harvest.
Local Harvest.
Yes.
Okay. .com.
Yes.
Okay. And both of those, so do you come in at night and check your emails all the time?
I do. I check them twice a day usually.
Twice a day to see if somebody, and then you get back to them or whatever if they want it.
Yes.
So, boy, that's something your dad and your grandpa never did.
No.
It's good. It's good. Anything else I haven't asked you that you want to share about your operation or your business?
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay. I think what you're doing is great.
Thank you.
Could we add a couple more questions?
Absolutely.
We'd like maybe a little more detailed description of the farm, how big it is, and maybe how many acres you've got for pasture, and how many acres you've got for alfalfa now, and then your corn and soybeans. And also, if you do butchering here, you do that yourself, or how is that done? So those might be two more questions to ask.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Jim, go back with me just a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about your operation, how many acres you have, how much grass, how much alfalfa, how much corn that you raise.
Okay, there's 619 acres in the farm, and it's about 50-50 as far as grass and tillable land. We have 31 acres of alfalfa, and
Corn.
there's about there's 150 acres of corn and 150 acres of beans.
50-50. Okay. And you've got your corn planted now and
Yeah.
working on the beans, if it ever dries up, right? When you mentioned people buying the beef, you don't actually butcher it here, do you? You send it to a processor?
We send it to. We have 2 processors we use. We use one in northern Illinois. He's certified organic, the only certified organic processor in the state of Illinois.
And do you have to take the cattle up to him then in the trailer?
Yes.
Okay.
We haul the live cattle to him, and the meat or the calf becomes the whoever purchases it, and they put in their order how they want it processed.
How much they want to go to steaks and how much they want to go to hamburger.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the chickens?
And they're processed in Arthur, Illinois. They're the only certified organic processor in Arthur.
Okay. So if I bought a chicken from you, would I get it from your farm, or would I go over to Arthur and get it, or either one?
The chicken you would get here at the farm.
Okay.
Arthur, we take the chickens over and have them processed, and then bring them home that day.
Do you have a big trailer that you haul the chickens, or how do you get the chickens there?
I take them in a livestock trailer.
In the livestock, and they like that, right? I sure.
What? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never thought about chickens riding in a trailer. That's cute. Do the chickens keep you up? Are the chickens noisy? Do they keep you up?
No.
Because they're out on the pasture just what we
Well-
call free range, right?
They're not free range. They're actually in pens. They're pastured poultry, and we move the pens every day.
Oh, okay, so they have new grass to eat, or,
Every day.
yeah,
Yes.
okay. So, that's good. Well, that's quite an operation. How long does it take you to do chores every day?
Oh gosh, it depends on what needs to be done, but normally, and during the winter or summer, during the winter it can take 2 and 3 hours, and during the summer probably maybe an hour and a half.
And so vacations have to kind of be scheduled around the
Yeah.
livestock, or maybe you don't take vacations.
Well, we take off. We go to conventions and things, and usually they're in off season.
Okay. And so, or do you have somebody else come, a neighbor come in and water or whatever?
I have a neighbor that helps out and does that. Yes,
Yeah, because I know otherwise it's like hard to get away sometimes, isn't it?
it is. It's very hard.
Yeah. Kind of a good routine though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And rain, snow, sunshine or not, you're out there doing it.
Yes.
Right.
Doesn't matter. It's
Like the mailman.
yes.
We might cover veterinary aspects, disease. I don't know if you've ever had any bloat problems with the cattle or anything like that. So you might ask about medical issues.
Okay. Seems to me like these cattle would be pretty healthy, but do you have any special veterinarian things that you have to do with them or the chickens, or are they healthier than others because they're not getting, any of the chemicals and stuff?
They are a lot healthier. We, we used to wean our calves, take our calves off the cow, put them in a lot, feed them something that they'd never seen before. Take their mama away, and now we wean the calf on grass, and he's 60% weaned anyhow. He's been eating grass his entire life, and we have not had one sick calf since we started this.
Wow, so your veterinarian bills have actually gone down, not up.
Our veterinary bill last year was 0.
Wow, that's amazing.
If something happens, a complication with birthing or something like that, then we have a veterinarian. And we do still have, we do a few things, but
One of the things that's always a problem with livestock, it seems, are flies. A lot of times, does this kind of help eliminate the fly problem because they're not all congregated?
actually a cow has their own immunity to flies. And we used to use fly control, and the more fly control we used, the more flies we had.
Oh.
So it took a while. It took a while to get that immunity built up back in the cattle. But since, when my father got sick, he wasn't able to help, so I decided I didn't. They had to do it on their own. And that was 5 years ago. And we just don't have a fly problem anymore.
Oh, that's great. Did your father finally think this was a good idea?
He thought it all the way along. Whenever I started with the pasture, he was behind me 100%.
That's great. That's great to have his blessing, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's nothing like having that. Knowing that he did it a different way, and yet he could see that this was maybe a better way to do it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Anything else you can think of, Mike?
Childhood? Because you grew up on this farm, right?
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
Oh golly, I don't know. What do you want to know?
Well, you grew up here, and you went to school around here. So did the school bus come here and take you to school?
Yeah, the school bus picked us up right outside.
Did you have to get up and do chores before you got on the school bus?
I did. I started. Actually, I had my own hogs since I was 9 years old. I started in 4-H, and I started out with a one spotted Poland China gilt that Dad bought me, and from that time on, why I took care of them and paid for the feed and the housing, and worked up to 20 sows when I quit when I was 18 years old. before that, I helped Dad with his hogs
And you
cattle.
decided not to go on and have more hogs? Not,
Well, I went to school at Lincoln Land, and then I got a job at Kroger's and worked for them. And Mary and I got married, and when I came back to the farm when Dad retired in 1978, and I didn't go back into hogs.
and did you and Mary meet at the grocery store, or where did you guys
No,
meet?
we actually met at Lincoln Land Community
Oh,
College.
you were both going to class.
Yeah, and we're both from Jacksonville, but we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
So we were both in school.
That's great. And you've been married how many years?
38, 39, going on 39.
39 wonderful years, right, Jim?
Yeah.
That's great.
What about the comparison of being a country kid compared to some of the town kids?
Well, I was a town kid for a while, and we lived in town, and
And your dad would drive to the farm then?
no, we lived,
Because your
Dad,
grandparents lived here.
yeah,
Okay.
no, my dad lived here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you guys lived in town for a
Well,
while.
when we got married.
Oh, when you
we
first got
lived-
married.
yes.
Okay, I got
We
you.
went to school, went to
Yeah.
Lincoln Land and went to school. Yeah.
But you prefer the country life
Yes.
because?
Well, there's more freedom, you just out here by yourself.
Do you guys raise a big garden too?
Not yet, but my
Well, if you're
wife.
going to have
does.
that 100-acre, 100-mile diet,
Yeah,
100-mile diet, you've got to have your tomatoes.
right. Well, we have tomatoes
Okay,
and we have some peppers, but
that's on the list. Huh?
yeah, that's on the list.
That's good.
What were your friends like? What were your friends like
when you were a kid?
when you were
You
a
know,
kid?
there was a boy up in Arcadia, which is about a mile north, and Dennis Brainer, and I'd go up there at the store and we'd play. And then I had another friend, Tom Patterson, that lived just south of me here. We were the same age, and they were right in the neighborhood here. There was a farm neighbor here that we met in the pasture one day, kind of, and he'd made a cave in this ditch, is what it was, and there was a bunch of brush over the top. So we called that the cave, and we'd go up there and meet in this cave. So that was how we played. We played down here in the creek, and I learned to ice skate down here in the creek. So it was, I guess it was different than it is today.
That's good.
And we might talk about schooling from your grade school, middle school, high school.
Okay, I went to North Jacksonville School, and then I went to Jacksonville High School and Lincoln Land.
Did you play sports?
No, I didn't. I attempted to play basketball in junior high, but I guess I wasn't good enough, so
Not tall
got
enough.
cut from the squad.